Good morning, Eagles. My name is Anaya Hairston, and I work alongside Jasmine Abney as co-chair for the Political Action and Civic Engagement Committee of Student Government Association. The Political Action and Civic Engagement Committee at North Carolina Central University seeks to empower all students to exercise their rights, use their voices, and uplift their community through action. Our goal for the 2020-2021 academic year has been to encourage our students by educating them on current elections and voter awareness.
Good morning, everyone. We are here today to look forward to the next 4 years with the incoming Biden-Harris administration. We are joined by members of the Eagle community, including faculty, students, and some alumni will be here today. We are going to begin by asking our panelists to introduce themselves. We are going to begin with our Mr. NCCU.
Good morning, everyone. I am Nigel Holly Newkirk. I am a senior mass communication student with a concentration in broadcast media, and I serve as the 2020-2021 Mr. North Carolina Central University.
Thank you. And we have a question that we want you all to answer as you all introduce yourselves. So can you please let us know what the significance of this inauguration is to you as an HBCU student or faculty member?
The significance of this specific inauguration is, as an HBCU student, is honestly something that I can't really explain. We have gone through some trials and tribulations over the past 4 years in a political stance, and just to see that now through the work that we have done, through the advocacy that we have shown at our HBCUs in this previous election, to see that our results are coming forth and that we actually made a change by not only pushing ourselves to be that representation, but allowing our entire realm of who we are as HBCU students to take over and push us towards this result. So it really means that we have the opportunity to use our voices, and it shows that our voices are being heard and that we are able to use them and get the results that we want. So that's what this inauguration means to me.
All right, thank you so much for that. And we also have another question for you. So, in recent years, HBCU culture has been celebrated in music, on television, and even at Coachella. So now that we are witnessing an HBCU marching bands perform at the presidential inauguration, as a student at an HBCU, how does this make you feel?
This makes me feel as though we are really being heard. Like a lot of people say, the band is honestly the soul of our HBCUs. They move the culture, they express what HBCUs are at games and events, and to have this be a representation at one of the largest events ever period, at any point in time, every 4 years, whatever you may have, it just shows that we are finally getting to a place in our in culture that we're not having any limitations. We are, being able to be represented on a global and national scale. It's been very hard for HBCUs, just since the beginning of time, since they were created, because they were created to give ourselves a space to represent ourselves, to move forward in our culture and our education, and for it to finally be something that is global rather than something that is sectioned off for ourselves. It just makes a huge difference, and it's going to bring a lot of awareness of HBCUs, and it's going to bring a lot of it's going to bring a lot of people to see that we actually make change and we actually do something for our people and for our culture. So this is something that we can never get back, and something that we will be forever grateful for.
Thank you so much for your response. I definitely agree. I feel the same, and I'm so excited to see this moment. We've had some new people step into the room, so we're going to continue with our introductions. I see that our SGA president has joined, so Mr. Coleman, if you could go ahead and introduce yourself, please.
Hello, everyone. I have the opportunity of serving as the student body president. My name is Sean Coleman, a senior mass communication student concentrating in public relations.
Good morning, everyone. William L.
Thank
Clem
you so much.
II.
And I would love,
Was I supposed to introduce myself now? Oh,
you can go ahead.
okay. I wasn't hearing anything. William L. Clem II, Assistant Vice Chancellor for Student Engagement.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you for joining us. I see that Dr. Coleman has also joined us this morning.
Good morning, everyone. Angela Coleman, have the pleasure of serving as the Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs. Happy Inauguration Day.
All right, thank you all so much for that, and thank you all for being here. With those introductions, we'll go ahead and move on to our next person who will be asking questions, which is our SGA President, Keyshawn Coleman. So the first question that we have for you is, what is the significance of this inauguration to you as an HBCU student?
I would have to say this is a very significant to me because not only are we getting our first female vice president, but she's also a woman of color. Being a African American who is also Asian, I think this is very monumental to see people that went to HBCU like us take initiative and be in positions that we've never seen anyone in a position like this before. So it kind of gives us as HBU students a perspective that like that can be me in a few years, or and I can aspire to do what I want to do, no matter what things have been like in the past. That means that I can change the trajectory and be that person to make a difference. This is very significant to me.
Absolutely. This is really a huge moment. We are going to continue with our introductions. I know we're having a little bit of connectivity issues, at least on our side over here. So if Mr. PA could go ahead and introduce himself, and then Dr. Jarvis Hall.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jaden PA. I'm a senior political science student here and a campus organizer.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Jarvis Hall. I teach in the Department of Political Science here at NCCU, and also work with the Civic Engagement Working Group on campus.
Good morning and welcome. Will you please answer the question for us? What is the significance of this inauguration to you as an HBCU student? I know you're so close to graduation, Jaden. So what does this moment feel like for you?
Honestly, this inauguration just really, it's a step in the right direction, if you ask me, in terms of representation, in terms of policy work. This is really like the work of myself and so many others like come to fruition. Just, months of voter registration drives, political education classes, just talking to students on a day in and day out basis, just keeping up with everything that Mr. 45 put us through. And so I think this is honestly just a step in the right direction.
And Dr. Hall, the same question to you as both an HBCU alumni and as an HBCU faculty member.
Well, just as already been said today, this is a significant moment for historically Black colleges and universities. When you think about, we are turning the page on what some people would say has been a fairly dark chapter in our democracy, but the democracy has somehow survived. I think it is scarred. I think there's a lot of work that needs to be done in order to heal our democracy and our nation. But when you look at the role that HBCU alums have played, both in terms of the election itself, and we think in terms of the new administration it certainly shows everyone of the capability of NCCU students and HBCU students more broadly.
Thank you both for that. I truly appreciate all of you being here and all of your answers and all of your insight. So with that being said, we'll move on to our specific questions that we have for specific individuals. So first up, we'll go back to our SGA president, Keyshawn Coleman. So the question we have for you is, due to security concerns and COVID-19, the inauguration for Joe Biden will be mainly virtual. As a way to still celebrate and represent Americans who will not be in attendance, nearly 200,000 flags have been placed on the National Mall in Washington, D.C. So, Sean, you've also had to adjust in order to maintain the safety of students on our campus. So, what are your thoughts on this? And do you feel like this is a good way for Americans to be represented by this gesture?
So to answer your question, my thoughts and feelings on it. So I do believe that right now, considering the COVID-19 pandemic, it is the best decision, and it's one of the smartest decisions, seeing how this virus has impacted our nation and actually us globally. So to kind of have it completely virtual, for it to be such a monumental occasion, it is kind of disappointing, but it is the best decision. And I think that is very representative of the American people, because our main priority as not only a school, a state, a country, but as globally should be to make sure that everyone is kept safe, and health should be priority. So I believe that this is a very great gesture in representation of the American people.
All right, thank you so much for that.
That was fun. It's true leadership, both here on our campus and at our nation's capital today. So I also want to ask Mr. Clem, since you are in the room with us, what does this moment feel like to you? What is the significance of this inauguration, of this new incoming administration for you?
So for me, I'm having some flashbacks of the Obama inauguration. I was just talking to a friend last night that this is one of those things that I never thought I'd see in my lifetime. We've had our first, African-American president, and now we're having a first woman, African-American, Asian-American, taking the vice president's slot. Plus, the other things that I never thought I'd see is the storming of the Capitol building. I never thought that tensions in America would get like this again. And to see that we have now a president, I was watching the news last night, a president that's just going on a different direction. They have a memorial to all the COVID victims in the Capitol, whereas our almost past president would not even acknowledge it. And so just the significance in the change that this inauguration represents is huge. And not to mention to have a HBCU alum, not to mention to have a member of a Divine Nine sorority. It's just, things are happening in our country, change is happening. And unfortunately, there are a lot of people who are uncomfortable with that change. And so I'm nervous, excited, all at the same time. I'm just looking forward to the possibilities, the positive possibilities that, having this new administration in place can bring to our country and our futures. They're going to have a direct impact on all of us, whether we, want to admit it or not. And again, just pushing even further, the changes in the Congress as well. We've had some historical things happen across the country. Georgia was the big one, the big holdout, and Georgia has not been a quote unquote blue state in a long time. And that's a huge thing. I have a number of friends who live in Georgia, and again, they are in disbelief that their state has officially turned blue. And I just want to say that, this just reflects what happens when we as people, all people, actually get out and vote. All these things that we complain about or we feel are impossible, become possible when we do what we're supposed to do and step up how we're supposed to step up, when we take advantage of all the opportunities and the rights that are afforded to us. So I'm just excited just to see how things can change and hopefully change for the better for everyone.
Absolutely. And Dr. Coleman, you exemplify leadership on this campus. And so I would love to hear your thoughts to that same question.
So I'm nervous because I feel like a roller coaster ride, right? So if you were here, you know, I lived through Obama's first presidency, the first 4 years, and then the second, and you know, we were on a high, and it's amazing, you know, what one person can do, you know, to a country in terms of their isolationist, disruptive approach, just to global relations, to relations nationally. And, you know, it was a dark day, you know, when the day after 45 got put into office. You know, I was working at Florida A&M at the time on that campus. We always concern ourselves with the students, but not so much with the staff. And I felt it so hard coming from my staff and my colleagues. We were all wearing black. You know, it was real. It was a sad day. That morning, you know, I have two sons, now 16 and 10, but at the time, you know, my youngest was maybe, you know, what, 6, right? 6 at the time, and a 10-year-old, and them having to explain to them how this could happen, you know. And I really had to have a conversation about hate and the backlash. You know, they just couldn't understand how someone like this, how could we put this person, you know, to be president? So, you know, I'm optimistic. I think that this administration will restore the country back to where we should be, but it has really brought out some ugliness. And I think students, you really need to kind of be aware that that's not going to go away, and what that even looks like, because it was kind of overt and in your face for the next 4 years. And now I think it's going to go back into kind of, you know, hiding a bit, you know, into these microaggressions. So you need to really pay attention to what's happening, particularly even in North Carolina. I'm on the Board of Governors meeting on the other screen over here, and there's some interesting things happening even with our, you know, our system and our leadership that manages the university. So keep your eyes open. As a woman and a woman of color, you know, Biden will have 2 strong women standing behind him, Kamala Harris and, you know, Nancy Pelosi. So, you know, not to mention the other women of color that we know have come from HBCU, Stacey Abrams, Keisha Lance Bottom, you know, Masora, an alum of Florida A&M as well, that have really, I think, propelled HBCUs to the forefront, and really has shown that HBCUs, we prepare our students, you know, for these type of roles and for leadership. So I'm excited, nervous, like I said, but excited in the same, and optimistic. And I really just feel like for me, a weight has been lifted. It's been very difficult being a higher education administrator these past 4 years, with some of the policies that have really impacted us and the day-to-day work that we do. So, yeah, so I'm excited, like I say, and nervous.
We are as well. I think when you think about strong women, I also think of my own Congresswoman, Alma Adams, from North Carolina, who was faculty over at Bennett College. We love to see it. Let's go ahead and welcome Ms. Angela Lewis into the conversation. If you will please introduce yourself and tell us about the significance of this inauguration to you as an HBCU alum.
Well, thank you so much. I am honored to be here, had another commitment, and was able to get in. So it truly is an honor. I am an Eagle. It's amazing to me as I looked at all of your beautiful faces. It's been a long time since I've been a student at Central. I was there in the 70s, and the activism was real at that time. Students were engaged and on fire. It was a reflection, I believe, of the years preceding that with the civil rights movement. There was a sense of understanding about our place of accountability to keep moving the torch forward. And so to be able to be connected with you now is such an opportunity and a privilege. I am the chairperson of the NCCU National Alumni Association Civic Engagement and Advocacy Committee. When we launched this committee several years ago, and our focus was looking at North Carolina, knowing that North Carolina was ground zero, knowing that we had untapped resources in our university members of being engaged and advocating for our universities and our students. And so we had a truly, and I'm going to use my language, a blessed year. Actively engaged with the students, proclaiming the need for voter registration, education, and mobilization, and getting out the vote. So seeing the results of all of that hard work and the energies with today is emotionally charging for me. It's exciting. You know, when I was a child, the signs were real, white only, colored only. We didn't go to hotels and stay overnight. We didn't get to eat at restaurants and sit down. So to be where we are today and to be engaged with all of the energies and activities that the NCCU students have done and the other HBCU students have done that I've been engaged with is truly remarkable. And I'm going to be brief, but what I want to say to you now is that the real work begins. After you take off your dancing shoes today, because we do need to celebrate today, but you better put on your work shoes tomorrow. It's got to be a full court press. We have got to be engaged in this democratic process. We have got to destroy the mold that our only role is to vote. That's the first step. We've got to get engaged and stay engaged. With our win in Georgia, we got a 2-year window to be impactful. We can't rest on our laurels that we have Democratic leaders in office who have HBCU backgrounds and who acknowledge that it's the Black vote that got them in. We got to make them accountable to those words. We got to deal with student debt. If they could come up with trillions and billions of dollars that businesses didn't have to pay back, give them grants, they need to get rid of this student debt. When I was a student, I was in financial need and I got a basic educational opportunity grant. So when I entered the workforce, I didn't have debt. I could come in and be engaged and be impactful and contribute to the society, buy a home and do other things, buy a car. We have got to say no. Your voices and our voices as your leaders who've walked this path is going to make some real change. We've got work to do. This is what advocacy is about. They've ripped and raped our universities of the funding that we deserve. They've changed the name from HBCUs to MSIs so they can give funds to PWIs that belong to HBCUs. And we've got to say enough is enough. In this 2-year window, that's what I'm going to be yelling at the top of my lungs as your advocate, your cheerleader, your mentor. I'm an executive coach. I coach, but I've been here 60 plus years. I'm not trying to do a title. I'm not trying to run for any office. If it wasn't for NCCU and what I got there, I wouldn't be who I am now. The first time in my life I was called a scholar was by Dr. Tyrone Baines in the public administration department. I was able to see value in me that my whole culture and society tried to rip me from. So Eagle Pride amplified. We got work to do, Eagles. That's what I got to say. And I'm engaged With the Civic Engagement Working Group at NCCU's campus, we have set a new business model for engagements. PWIs don't have what we have. And we're pulling from our uniqueness as Black folk. We are relational people. And we're going to come together and make a difference and take advantage of the work that you all have done in getting out the vote and voting and making NCCU and Eagles known in the local government in Durham and throughout the state of North Carolina and literally throughout the globe. So thank you.
Bravo.
Yes, thank you for that, Ms. Lewis. Just from hearing you talk, we can feel and we can see the passion you have for this university. And we thank you for that. And we thank you for paving the way for us as HBCU students and NCCU students specifically. And I think it's very important to talk about, our history on campus with us having a voting precinct. I think it's truly amazing that we have the opportunity to be so close and our students be able to go over to the voting precinct. And, I definitely think Eagles definitely turned out this election. And I'm proud to know that I was able to be a part of that and making that initiative. And so, I thank everyone who's on here for your efforts. And I wish to continue in the future.
Today, I am so proud to be an Eagle, just as every day, but today, to be here with you all. I really do appreciate you all joining us today. And I appreciate you each for all of your hard work during our election cycle this year, because it was a challenging one. But we still got Eagles to the polls. We still went out and voted. We still mobilized here in North Carolina and in other states also. And so I'm so proud of us. And in this moment, at this time, at 11:03 a.m., it's time to switch over to make sure that we are watching the inauguration to see the fruit of some of our hard work as far as getting people to the polls and having a more representative election than maybe ever before. And so in the chat earlier, Miss Davis provided the link to the inauguration watch party being hosted by Diversity and Inclusion. So we definitely encourage you all to head on over there and watch the inauguration with your fellow Eagles. We all have been inspired. We've been reminded of how great we are and what we can do. And now let's see it be put into practice. So thank you all again for joining us. Happy Inauguration Day and enjoy the rest of this day. The work begins as soon as the clock strikes noon. Have a good day, y'all. Eagle Pride.
Bye, everyone.